Welcome to the Hair, Babes and Business podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Marie, and I am an online educator and hair, beauty and business coach. I worked behind the chair for 14 years and successfully fully booked out 2 of my own hair salons before taking on this role. From my time behind the chair and running my own businesses, I have learnt the many intricacies of hairdressing and running a spa or salon business. Unlike most other industries, the gap between your hairdressing or beautician education and trying to figure out how to run a salon or spa business is quite large and often overwhelming. Through my socials, podcast, online education and online training, I am trying to bridge that gap, tackle industry issues and break the stigma that comes along with the industry. Through Hair Babes and Business, I, alongside other industry experts, am sharing valuable knowledge to help you grow your business and fast track your success. I am also tearing down the walls on old school industry practices and proving that the hair and beauty industry is one filled with women who want to uplift and support one another rather than tear each other down. I'm so glad that you found and decided to join our beautiful community. I am so grateful to be able to work with you and move progressively towards a new era in the hair and beauty world. Hello guys and welcome back to the Hair Babes and Business podcast. My name is Jess and I am your host, and today I'm bringing you a very special interview with my dear friend Ebonee Sheridan. If you guys aren't already following her, make sure that you go and do that. I'll make sure I link all of her socials in the show notes so that you can go and find her. But guys, we could just talk forever. This is the second time I've had her on the show. The first time she interviewed me and this time I'm interviewing her. And this is just a really great podcast episode to learn about who she is and what she does. And just her work on money mindset is just next level. Like, it really is going to help take you to the next level in your business when it comes to things like charging your worth and not emotionally discounting and really just attracting what you deserve into your business and just being the best business owner that you can be and really just living your dream life. What she has to share is just so good and I can't wait for you guys to hear it and listen to it. And guys, I've talked about this multiple times, but Ebonee and I are putting together a mastermind where I'm really going to be talking about strategy and she's going to be really talking about money mindset. So if you love today's episode, this is just going to be a teeny tiny little taste of what we've both got to offer and bring to the table in that course. So if you like that, keep that tucked away in the back of your mind. Maybe start saving up some money so that when we bring that mastermind out, you can join and be a part of it because it is so special. It's going to be amazing. So just really keep an eye out for that, especially if you love what Ebonee and I are doing together, because I think we just work really well together and the knowledge that we can give you is just really going to help you take your business to the next level. So without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Alrighty, so welcome to the podcast. This is the second time you've actually been on the show, but this time I'm interviewing you instead. Do you want to let the audience know who you are and where you've come from and where you are now?
Oh, I'm still working on this story, which is there's so much to this. So I am Ebonee Sheridan. I am a salon coach, just moving into this space now. I'm a mama of 2, just recently had my second one 14 weeks ago. So really fresh still. So I guess my story sort of stems from my love of hairdressing. When I was 11, I really loved like upstyling. I saw myself being sort of a bridal, formals. That was kind of like the highlight. And then it moved into like high school, and I guess the terminology of like you're not going to make money in the industry sort of led me away from it. So I was really good at graphics, art and home economics, and I got distinctions for those. So in the end, I kind of led down the path of interior designing. Moved down to South Australia straight after high school, and moved into a sort of a church background. I did like Bible education while I did interior designing, but just found that it was a bit too much all at once, coming into a new church and then also starting interior designing. So I stopped that. My parents moved down from living in Queensland, and then I found hairdressing. They were doing a certificate too. We really fought really hard because we no longer TAFE, only had certificate 2, and the next place that was available was in the CBD. And for someone who lived in like the Clarendale area, also people that lived in Victor Harbour, that commute 2 hours is just a bit too hectic. So they really rallied around getting the certificate 3, and from there, it was pretty much an opportunity that a lot of people got to do hairdressing, their certificate 3. And I was always a teacher's pet. I've always kind of been a teacher's pet. So I was a typical person in that sort of scenario. People come up to you saying, "Hey, do you want some help? Like, can I have some help? Can you do this?" Which I think has led me on to, I guess, this path of wanting to teach people as well. So once I finished there, I started mobile hairdressing. I was at 19 years old. Not many people really wanted to take on mature aged apprentices. So mobile was my option. I kind of wanted to help like mothers be able to get their hair done from the comfort of the home, because trying to bring kids into a salon environment is not ideal. So that was really beneficial for a lot of the people in that area. I would travel probably a good hour away from the location that I lived. I think I was Harabelle based, and then just kind of went from there. And then I had the opportunity to work in a salon as sort of like a salon manager, someone I guess went into with eyes wide open of that, because I loved helping people wanting to do that sort of stuff. Spent about 8 months and then decided I wanted to move back to Queensland, because that's where my parents ended up going. And my goal and focus was to go to the Gold Coast. And little did I know, I ended up staying here. And now 8-9 years later, I'm still living in a small town called Goondiwindi. So very rural. We're about 2.5 hours south of Toowoomba. And it was kind of meeting my husband that kind of kept me here. So in the end, I started off doing mobile again. I just found that was sort of a niche that really helped a lot of people. And I traveled a few hours in my little Mitsubishi Lancer. She did really well on those dirt roads, I have to admit. So started there, did a couple of years. I did coaching in the sense of gymnastics for kids. I loved doing that. And then I was also a lollipop lady at the start. I just knew that I needed to get into the community somehow. So that was kind of my avenue. And then from there, I was offered a salon that was about an hour away. And I did that 3 times a week, traveled away there. It was really great because the community, probably known bigger than 1,000 people in that area. And then decided to open up a space back in Goondiwindi, where my mum actually purchased a building that turned into a school-based apprentice to then a beauty therapist in training, and then a almost qualified salon coach. And this is all around 2021. So this is the time that I was really launching, growing, considering we had a lot of, I guess, COVID was around then, and the whole border situation is kind of what led me to eventually having to close, because I lived in New South Wales, but my business lived in Queensland. So in the end, I just had to make that emotional decision while being pregnant to close my business for the foreseeable future, because who knows what was going to happen in that sort of situation. So in the end, I pretty much had to start again after that point in 2022. About 3 months before my son was born, I opened a home salon in the hopes to have him at a home so that I could essentially make money and keep running a business and be a present parent. And then it was, I guess, 23, fell pregnant? No, 24. Start of 24, fell pregnant again, a little bit unexpectedly, but at the same time, we knew we wanted to have 2 children. So we kind of had her in just October, just gone. And I've made the decision to just close down my salon. Financially, it kind of made a little bit no sense, but at the same time, having 2 small children in daycare with a rural area that didn't really support, or it isn't a lot of support for daycare options, it was kind of a no-brainer. And I really didn't want to have to send her away being so young as well, just so that I could sort of have clients and money coming into my world. So yeah, that's kind of like my journey from hairdressing and now moving into salon coaching. I've always had this idea behind wanting to support people, especially in rural areas, that you are worthy of making money. You don't have to. And I guess this is probably what we'll talk about a little bit later as well, around money and just in the scheme of that. But yeah, my journey has been quite an interesting one. And I guess I've had so many different backgrounds. It is being able to support people in different areas as well. So yeah, that's my story, I guess.
That's amazing. And I think a lot of people will find a lot of inspiration from your story, because you have gone through a lot of different things, a lot of different changes. And to like see that you've come out on this side of it, you're building this beautiful family, you're building a beautiful community, you've built this beautiful business in coaching, I think is really inspiring for a lot of people who you know, those constant things come up, like COVID closing the business, or, you know, having kids, and what do you do from there? It's nice to see that you can still remain in the industry without actually having to compromise on anything else that you want to do as well. So I think this will be really helpful to a lot of people to hear.
Absolutely, yeah.
So talk about your journey going from a hairdresser to a coach. What has that been like?
When I looked at, I guess, when I closed my business twice after the first time COVID hit, that to me was failure. Like, how can you go and do this sort of stuff? And this is where I actually navigated into the space of the online world through Enagic. And Enagic was an option for me as wanting to make an income online. And I guess because salon coaching wasn't really in the forefront, it was actually something that I wanted to do probably a few years prior, where we had the idea of like picking up, moving into a bus, traveling around, kind of almost being like a step-in salon owner for the person who wanted to go away for a week or something like that, and just being able to support in that way. And then I guess the idea sort of arose again, wanting to help our industry in another way of making money beyond the chair. I guess I struggled because if you're not behind this chair, you're not making money. And for someone who was wanting to be a present parent and also like not having to work so much, but still make it the same amount of money, there needed to be something that was available. So Enagic was essentially that solution that I really wanted to help, especially mamas, because if you're not making income, your super drops. There's a lot of extra things that I think that aren't really taken in consideration during that time. That is such a precious, like the first 5 years, they go so quickly. And I'm realizing now that I've almost got a 3-year-old, and I'm like, where did my baby go? And I don't want to have to miss out on that. I don't want other mothers to have to miss out on it just because government support is only 4 months. Like, my baby's almost 4 months now, my second one. And I'm like, the idea of returning back to work just because that time is up really saddens me. And it saddens our industry, because I know a lot of women have to go back because money, just because of money. So when I sort of worked with a coach to sort of look into helping Enagic become in the industry, she really opened my eyes to the opportunity of going back into coaching, or going into coaching after experiencing it myself. And I really wanted to help people. And I guess there was a point the second time around, I was like, how can I do this? Like, I've failed again, air quotes. I failed again. Like, how can I help people make money when really in the last couple of years, haven't really made the money that I guess the traditional 6-figure salon owner and all that sort of stuff. And I wanted to come from a place that was genuine. And so I had too much knowledge to not share in the end of it. I wanted to not waste all the learnings that I got taught. I didn't want to have to end my time in the hair and beauty industry because there was no other option for me. Now, this, for me now, going into salon coaching is going to be my financial way of bringing money into my home. But I want to be able to support people, not only to be able to make money in their business, but also make money outside of their business. And Enagic is essentially going to be that option to create both, which is truly incredible. If you haven't really heard of Enagic before, it's a Japanese water company, 50 years in the making, and holy doolies, they have created the most incredible products, not only to help have clean water, but also to have shower filtration systems that will have healthy skin, hair, all that sort of stuff. What I've been able to achieve, and in the last 2 years, is it 2 years? Probably going on 3 actually, is the filtration systems have really, like, if you know anything about like Japan or their culture and stuff like that, they just know how to create products. They know how to, like, for example, the Japanese head spa is going gangbusters at the moment. And to be able to bring these systems into the hair and beauty industry as well, I am so excited, because to know that, yes, there's a few products on the market, but there is nothing. These ones are super elite, something that has literally blown my mind on what they can do. So the Inespa is the shower filter, which I've been able to put onto my basin, and goes through a process of 3 stages. One is a magnetic, the next one is a charcoal, and they also go through Japanese, there's little now I've really lost the word. The little beads that just essentially kind of makes your like an at-home spa situation, which is incredible. The Kangen water machine is another side to this. It's a whole separate machine which creates pH alkalized water all the way from 2.5 to 11.5. And I guess in our industry, we kind of have a bit of an understanding of how the pHs work. So 2.5 is essentially like a cleaning agent. So it's a disinfectant. And then it goes all the way up to 11.5, which is like a degreaser. So there's ones that are 9.5, which is essentially the drinking water, which is so beneficial for the body. There's 8.5 and 9, which is for teas, coffees, anything water related that you use in your house, to 6.0, which is beauty water, which is what we would consider for like scalp care, facial toners, looking after the body. And I've done actually a little experiment around the water itself, and it's on my Instagram. And there's also, I feel like I'm missing one. 7.0, which is just the standard filtration ones. This is just not your typical filtration system. The pH is really designed to create healthy, clean water in your home. I've been able to utilize this machine for my sanitation, my spray and wipe, my window cleaning, for my brushes, like anything that you can think of that you use for a chemical in your salon is been replaced by this machine. And I think it works out to be $4 per month that would cost you, compared to probably $200 that you'd spend on cleaning products, the chemical, barbicide, like anything that you can think of is replaced with this machine, which I think is truly incredible. And it brings that holistic approach into the salon as well.
No, that sounds good. I think that's a good overview to give the listeners an understanding of what it is. Yeah, so that's amazing. And I think that's something like I've really enjoyed learning about your experience, about how you're trying to really bring that in, like learning how to make money beyond the chair for exactly that reason of like, you know, mums not having to rush back to work, or, you know, for any situation, someone who can't do it because of an injury or an illness or anything like that. It's so cool to hear that there's so many other routes that you can go down that are still within the industry, still making money beyond the chair.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So then obviously you've also kind of gone down this road of coaching. So tell me about that and what you're doing with that at the moment.
Just really navigating the space at the moment. But one of the areas that I want to focus on more specifically, and it's probably because of my journey throughout my career as well, is I've always kind of had to figure it out. I've always had to YouTube it, try and take as many mini courses as I possibly can just to learn about how to run a business, because essentially you know how to do hairdressing. We are taught this, we get a certificate at the end of our teachings, but we don't know how to do business. And these are two completely separate things that I think a lot of the time people just kind of assume when they jump into the space of owning a business is that they can do it because I can do hair, I can sell, I'm fine, all that sort of stuff. And a lot of this really has stemmed back from, even though my mum had a multi-million-dollar business in the mines cleaning contract in Blackwater, one of the things that I found really frustrating was that she was given the job and then she got paid to do it. Whereas in our industry, we actually have to go out and constantly bring people back into our world, constantly churning over the people, making these people happy. And as much as my mother could give me advice on running a business, there is such a different scope in our industry that requires so many more touch points to help people stay within your world. So this is where I went down the path of getting a coach myself. I invested quite a bit of money into it, but what she was able to teach me with just in that 12 months completely flipped the script on how to run a business and making sure that I was actually supporting my clients in the best way I possibly could. So throughout this time, I've just recently as well navigated money. Money has always been, I guess, a huge thing within our industry that we feel a little bit scared of taking money. Because we're the typical people that like to people please. So over the last 10 years, and I've just recently started working with a coach myself again, but more so in money mindset. And when I sort of look back over those 10 years, there is such a huge correlation, just specifically money itself, that has affected my career and how much I had to work in order to receive money. So my coaching space is very much going to look like money mindset with the dabbles of strategy. I definitely believe that there is a strategy, but a lot of the time it will always come back to coaching in money. If you don't believe that you are worthy to receive money, you're going to have a really hard time taking money from people, which is such a crazy thing in our industry. And a lot of people will tend to people please and emotionally discount in order to just get a quick buck and just to have money.
I think what you've said there is such a huge thing. And I feel like so many people will really resonate with this, because I think this is such a common problem in our industry. I feel like every hairdresser that I've ever spoken to, I'm just trying to think, but I really do think it would be every hairdresser that I've ever spoken to has said, I struggle with charging. I struggle with emotional discounting. I struggle with charging my worth. And I think that's interesting that it really does seem to be in this industry that it is such a huge problem. And I'm not sure if that's just because that's the kind of people we are to get into this career, or if it's because in this industry it's always been kind of known that like prices can be a bit flexible, or, you know, you just give your loved clients a bit of a discount here and there, or whatever it may be. But I feel like so many people listening right now would really resonate with what you're saying, because it is such a massive problem within this industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always struggled myself with pricing. And I think that's because of the tone that's kind of set. It's kind of like the generations before, like you can't charge this, you can't charge that. No one's going to come if you don't charge this. And it's because of those limiting beliefs that has really made our industry, it really has undervalued. Yeah, 100% has really undervalued the self-worth around it. We give so much to people, and I don't think we have really been shown how to utilize it. And I guess that's probably where people are just jumping straight into it, just assuming that they can do it and all that sort of stuff. Like, I know I was kind of really going out there to prove a point that, yes, I can do this, I can make money, I can do these sorts of things. And it's really fascinating to hear more and more people feeling like they can't charge the way that they want to, but it's because of those stories that we have literally told ourselves over and over again from generations beyond. And these are just like broadcasted into our subconscious. As much as you can go, oh yeah, no, I can charge this time, there is an underlining link. And this is actually something that I could probably really speak on to, is emotion and body coding is a huge modality that is really not been spoken a lot about. It's very similar to kinesiology, but what it essentially really looks into is that when we create that word, I can't charge, I can't charge, I can't charge, the more times it is occurred, our brain is essentially like a computer, and it'll absorb that one word. So if you can think of like going onto your computer and you see, I can't charge, I can't charge, I can't charge, and it's like in the software program, even if you delete it that first time, because it's been programmed into there so many times, you have to essentially rewire this and remove that, essentially that emotion related to I can't charge out. So when we've got that so logged in so many times, we will find it really, really hard to actually do that. So a lot of processes that I can take you through is by putting your fingers together and then running it from the top of your nose over your head and to the top of your spine, because that's all you can really reach. What you'll actually do is you'll set that emotion saying, I can charge, I am worthy. And you're going to run your fingers over multiple times. And what you'll actually notice is your body will start to tingle, because you're actually resetting the emotion and the wording around that, which is really, really cool. So I'll have to probably demonstrate that on a
super
video.
Cool.
Yeah, really fascinating. It came from my mother, who is actually a practitioner herself, and I've been able to utilize this in other areas, which is really cool. So that's probably just one part that you can utilize. Another thing is actually debunking that whole process of why can't you charge that? Is it ultimately true that you can't charge that? And it's interesting because there is proof within our industry that you can make money. We've got celebrities, we've got people finally charging a decent amount. And when we say that we will discount a person emotionally if they've gone something wrong, we're actually kind of self-sabotaging ourselves, but we're also saying to the other person that they're not worthy of receiving what you're giving them, which is, I think, a huge point. So if you've got a client in your chair and they're just emotionally broken and stuff like that, if you're telling energetically that that client is not worthy of the service that they have received from you, which is like a whole nother category, a whole nother ball game.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about it from that perspective before, but that's really powerful to think about that.
Yeah, you're essentially taking away their power of passing the money over to you, saying thank you for the service that you have provided. And from you collecting that, that's an energetic exchange as well. So that in itself will feel quite huge, but there are so many more components to this, understanding the money mindset around this as well.
Do you find the money mindset thing is generational?
Yeah, 100%. So within the emotional body coding, what we've learned is that we can get inherited emotions. Yeah, there's all different emotions that have been inherited on. So we can actually remove those emotions, which is really cool. So anything that's related around to money, this could not just be specifically unworthiness. It could be taken for granted, but all of those emotions can actually be wiped back to generations. So anything that you've got related around to money can actually be wiped, which is really, really cool. But yeah, it definitely does come from the generations beyond, but we need to be able to debunk it. We need to be able to say, no, I'm going to stop it from here and change going forward, because you want to stop it before you pass it on to your kids and stuff like that.
That's really interesting. And I wonder, like, especially now with this financial crisis, and I guess money is such a bigger topic, and we're like constantly hearing on the news and stuff, like people can't afford as much, people are struggling, people can't afford to pay the rent and all that sort of stuff. Like, I guess hearing that constantly would be having an effect on people as well.
It's rewiring. Like if you're constantly absorbing that sort of information, we always talk about the closest 5 people is who you become. You become the next person, essentially. So when you've got the news about all of the financial crisis and all that sort of stuff, there is actually proof that we have billionaires in the world. There is money. There's literally money everywhere. And so what I've come to learn is that when we absorb those, it's the reprogramming of our mind that we're believing into. Money is just energy. Money can literally come out of thin air, which is crazy to say, but money doesn't have to just come from one source. And this is something that I'm really starting to open my world and learning about, that money can come in the form of refunds. It can come in the form of discounts. It can come in the form of a free coffee. Money doesn't necessarily just come from an income. And when we close ourselves off to that one area, then we're closing off from other opportunities that the universe is trying to provide to you. That's like, well, hang on, if you think that that's unsafe, well, of course, I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to provide you this money that could have come in this form, because you've told me that you want your money to come in through your income.
Yeah.
Which is so incredibly like fascinating when you look into it even more. And I want to, I guess, share one of the craziest ones that I've had come is, we said, I'm so grateful and thankful for unexpected money. And it was a couple of months later, we had $600 refunded back from us from our car insurance.
Wow.
And I wasn't even expecting it. When you open up that scope of going from money only comes in this way, financially, I'm worried, that's what you're going to keep attracting. You're going to keep attracting this into your world. Whereas if you say, I'm going to hold the faith and go, money's just going to flow in, start noticing in your areas of life how much money is actually flowing into your world. And you'll probably be very surprised to know that you'll have like $2 drop here, or you have even interest into your bank is income. And when you start tallying all of those things throughout that month where money actually comes in, you start becoming an energetic match of being so grateful for having $2 on the floor of your car, like I did yesterday, which is pretty crazy. And changing that programming, changing what you're listening into, like get rid of the news off your phone, stop watching it on the TV, like start ingesting all of these areas of positivity into your life. Like money can flow into your life in all areas. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I heard a story on a podcast, Manifestation Babe. I don't know if you've ever heard of her before. Yeah, and she was talking exactly about that as well. Like, she's a multimillionaire. I'm probably going to butcher this story because I listened to it a very long time ago. But I remember she was saying she was like in a mall. It was super busy, like Christmas time. There was like millions of people in there, and she literally saw like a coin on the ground, and she went and picked it up, and she was like, I'm so lucky, I'm so blessed, I'm so abundant. And she said she's there in her like Louis Vuitton getting so excited over a coin. But she was like, that's the thing, if you can't be excited about these little blessings that are coming into your life every day, how can you expect to be trusted with the big things and the big amounts of money coming in?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been truly life-changing since having my coach. And the one thing that I really want to like emphasize is that even if you invest into a coach, you're not just paying for that information. So say, for example, a $4,000 coaching experience with someone, you're getting all of that information prior. So the person who paid $200,000 in the 10 years that they're working with coaching, you're getting that information as well. So really, a lot of the times you're getting exactly what you need, but from so much multiple space. So even though you feel like you're spending $4,000 on a coaching experience, that value is probably worth millions of dollars that have been taught from so many multiple people throughout that time. And that's another like aspect of money mindset as well. When you learn from someone, you're collapsing time, you're saving yourself money, but also you're finding other avenues of where you can focus your own personal life on, which is truly incredible.
And I think to like put that into a perspective as well for the listeners, like that's so relevant when it comes to your hairdressing business, because it's like that person is not just paying for that $100 haircut. They're paying for your $2,000 pair of scissors, and they're paying for your $20,000 worth of 4 years of education to learn how to do that haircut. And it's like, I think that's what people forget. It's like, it's not just what's happening right here, right now. It's everything that led up to this point.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess a great example of this as well, like when I had my first coaching experience, I probably spent 20 grand in that year. I went from making $54,000 to making 225 in 2 years.
Incredible.
Like to go from doing 6 years of just figuring it out to then having 1 year to spend $20,000 on learning how to structure business has turned into like $200,000 like business, like within 2 years, which honestly, when I look back on that, I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't a whole lot. That's a lot of money. And I think for our industry, we're not probably giving people a lot more credit than they really do have. Like even making $75,000 is still a lot of money, but I think we need to really bring back the emphasis on, I guess, coming from the perspective of a salon owner, of like really like sharing the wins on it. Yeah, you made a $75,000. That means how many people have you actually affected and really supported in their journey of their life? Because it's not just a one haircut done, move on to the next. This is a journey process that you're taking on, and this is an energy exchange between money. And this person is saying, thank you for doing your hair. Thank you for like taking me on this journey with you, because it's not just a haircut. It is like a full like counseling session. It's a full everyday experience with this person. And I think that this is where, like, I guess going on to value within our industry, we do give so much value, but really reiterating the fact to our clients that we don't just do a haircut. We're actually having a conversation with you. We're talking about what sort of shampoo and conditioner you're using, to how to look after it at home. There is that extra value on top, is not just a $50 haircut. It is like probably close to $100 to $150 value that a client is receiving. And I think we need to really emphasize that in like our content, as well as sharing more so the money side with people, because we want to tell people that you are worthy to receive this. You are can come into my world, and I want you to feel pampered. I want you to feel glamorous. And when we go back to talking about the aspect of the I don't have any money, like I can't afford this, when you tell a person that, well, you use the perspective of I can't afford this, you're saying to the client that they don't value themselves. This goes both ways. It doesn't just go from yourself saying, oh, if you can't like afford this, then you have to go somewhere else or do that sort of stuff. There is other ways around this, obviously, but yeah, definitely I think we need to be speaking about more so, I guess, from a client and coach perspective on really celebrating the money, because money is a huge deal in our life. Like, it's how we transaction, it's how we live in this world. Like, if we didn't have money, we might as well be homeless. Like, there's a huge big area of this that we need to focus on. And then from the client perspective as well, from hairdresser to client, really emphasizing that you are valued, you are wanted. Like, this is an energy exchange, that you are worthy of receiving this, which is, I think, another aspect of this as well.
I love that so much. And I think like something you just said, like, would be really helpful to think about in a business position and having a business and thinking about the experience you're giving your client. Like, it's so true. Like, that experience that maybe was like 15, 20 years ago of like walking into a shop, having the roughest clipper haircut done, like say for a male, and like pretty much no interaction, get you in and out, and you're going to pay $15 from it, is completely different to the experience that's being offered now, where you're welcome in, you might have a beer or a coffee or whatever it is, you're getting that one-on-one experience. You're also going to get like a beard shave, and you're going to get like all these extra things on top of it. And at the end, we're going to be like, can I rebook you in 4 weeks time? Like, I care about you enough. I want to see you again. I want to make sure you're taking care of yourself. I want to make sure that you're looked after. That is a completely different experience, and you can't be like charging those prices from that long ago, because it's not even comparable. The experience is so completely different.
Yeah, and even what you're saying before as well is the mindset change of like, I want to book you back in, I want to like keep you looking great all the time. It's that flip of mindset of like, oh, I have to do them again. You get to actually choose who you want to have in your world. So really change that thought process as well. Like, it's not just even about money, it's about the mindset around it. Like, I really enjoy our conversations. Like, I want to keep us continuing this journey together. I want to know if you get married or if you're going to have kids. Like, there is so much more to that thought process than I think people probably even realize. And knowing that you're offering value, in return, that person is going to go, yeah, I love this. Like, I want to come back to you because you're oozing off that energy. And that's I guess a really great example is like when you walk into a bar and you can see two different people. You have this one that's like an absolute tool. What's going on in his head is like, I'm a tool, I'm an idiot, I'm a dickhead, like all of these different processes. But if you go to the other person, like he's having a good time, he's laughing, he's giggling and all that sort of stuff, you're more likely to be attracted to that person because they're like, yeah, I love myself. This is a great life. I'm doing so well. This is the same for in the hairdressing industry as well. Like, we need to come from, and this is probably where a lot of the time we need to remove ourselves from the industry as well and to step out of it so that we can be surrounded by positive people all the time, so that we can be better people for our clients as well. And by doing that, I think we then value ourselves more, which then values our worth for people around us as well. And I think this is why it's so important to get into retreats, get into people of like-minded industries, to create the positivity around it, because it does. And I think this is probably why a lot of people leave the industry after 10 years, is because they get so focused and in a rut because I'm doing the same thing mundane over and over again. And especially for people who work for themselves at home, I noticed myself when I worked from home for a little bit that I got into a bit of a negative space of like, oh, another client, I just have to do it for money. But in the scheme of it, it is a beautiful aspect. But we need to get back into the community. We need to be able to support other hairdressers. We need to not feel like we're competing with other people, especially in a small town where there was probably 10 people in the main street. Like, we probably have 10,000 people, but everyone felt like they were like competition. But really, we should be coming together. We should be celebrating. We should be creating awards. Like, yes, we have the big ones and all that sort of stuff, but it'd be lovely to kind of bring the community together and celebrate each other, especially if everyone's working by themselves solo, which is huge.
And I think that's something I'm really learning from this job, and I'm sure you're probably experiencing it as well. But like when you actually get out there and talk to the hairdressers of the community, there is not one hairdresser that I've spoken to who's been like, ew, I don't want to talk to another hairdresser. They're like, I want this community. Like, I want to build this. I want to talk to other people. I want to share my story. I want to hear their stories. Like, I want to learn from them. I want to be able to teach them what I know. It's very positive.
Absolutely. And I think for so long we've kind of used it as a term of like unsustainability. Like the industry has felt sort of unsustainable in the scheme of not having that financial background, but we are moving, and a lot of people are moving into the sustainability side of not only health of ourselves, that we don't have to work 6.5, pretty much, 6.5 days in the week just because we need to put clients in. We're actually creating services that are lasting longer, that are also providing our clients with emotional support. Like, I think more hairdressers need to be counseling or doing life coaching in some aspects, because we're essentially listening to people every single day. So that's huge. But yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's so true. Like, I was actually having a conversation with someone yesterday about something very similar to this. It is that thing where it's like, if you're doing 6.5 days and you're just jamming people in and trying to make money, like, what is that experience like versus being like, I'm only working 4 days and accepting a certain number of clients, but I'm going to give everything I've got to those clients and create this really luxury experience and create this really like deep connection. Like, is actually more, it's got more worth to do that than it does to just be like in and out, slapdash. It's
creating people want that.
Yeah.
Definitely so. It's something that I really did throughout my time, and this is probably a really great example of creating the value within your salon space, is if you're into the oracle cards, into the tarot cards, crystals, like I've done a life coaching background as well as the emotional body coding, like being able to use your downtime as a way of extra connection points, I think is really huge as well. And it's also another way that you can add value, also create more money on top of the service that you're providing. And clients, like, once they, I guess, leave with that spiritual, like their soul has sort of been fulfilled, I found clients are more likely to return. And people are really like opening up to the idea of that soul searching, the universal guidance and all that sort of stuff. But being able to put like a tarot set or an oracle set in front of them and said, hey, give it a shuffle, see what the universe is trying to tell you. That's adding value, but also being able to give the client something else to do other than scrolling on the phone. Because I feel like it should be a sacred space for people to jump out of the world. Like social media has its great perks and we use it in the industry, but I feel like for that time of like that we're allocating for people that are 3 to 4 hours, really get them out of their heads, start really turning inwards, and like get the crystals out, like say, hey, what crystals are you attracted to? Because crystals are really great in the points of like chakras and Reiki and stuff like that. Like if a client says, oh, I'm really attracted to this red crystal, well, actually the red crystal means that you're in balance with yourself. It means you're not really listening to yourself. Someone who picks a blue crystal means throat chakra, means that they're not feeling that they're being heard. And when I've told clients this, they're like, interesting. And I think that that's almost like a portal connection to one client to the hairdresser as well. But being able to, like, they already tell us so much, but being able to kind of connect on that deeper level with clients really has in the past really transformed my coaching, my clients' experience to be able to help these people. Like I did emotion and body coding for people who have just felt so anxious and overwhelmed. Like even though I'm not a practitioner, I've been able to utilize energy healing to help clients in that time. And they've walked away not only having beautiful hair, but their soul just feels at ease when they leave, which is so special. And if that's something that you want to do within your space, I'd highly encourage doing that, because you don't have to know how to do it, but being able to offer the client that access as well has really even inspired myself to be able to kind of dive deep into the world of spirituality and all that sort of stuff, even though I have a background of being God-fearing and stuff like that. So I probably come from more of a space of spirituality and everything is universal, and we get given these special crystals, and like information to support our journey through this life. So why not utilize them?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think like even for the girlies out there who aren't overly spiritual, just taking that same concept of being able to create a space that is really calming and soothing is really powerful. Like you said, you want those people to walk out feeling like calm and peaceful and like have left your space with their cup filled, rather than leaving being like, that was so loud and noisy and chaotic and I had 4 different people see me and like I feel very overwhelmed. It's creating that experience like you said.
Yeah, there are so many different things that is come about. And even just like really emphasizing the basin experience. I think a lot of time we try to rush because that's kind of like the last point of call of like, okay, we just need to get them out and lots of stuff. And I love that the Japanese head spas are really like taking off. I think we really need to focus. And then this is probably where clients want the most, but yet we're not giving them the most time at it. And this is probably coming back to how people are pricing and structuring their prices, is to like, okay, that's a quick 5-minute service here and done, but people really want to be there for 10 minutes. They don't want to be in and out. They want to enjoy it. So really taking note of like adding an extra 10 minutes onto your services, which includes like increasing your prices to help support that. And how much clients always tell you, oh, I love that head massage, like that little bit extra, put a face mask on. Like there's so many different ways that we can add value into these clients.
And even creating packages around that, like have basin packages. Like you love the head massage, here's something that you can have a treatment and an extra long head massage, and at the same time I make an extra 25-30 bucks. Like utilize that.
But don't always go into it. I think a lot of people go into it, oh, I'm just selling them. It's not selling them, you're actually supporting them. Clients can actually say no. They don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't have to go through with it. But if you say, well, how stressed are you feeling? Do you want an extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes of massage? Let me know, and I'm more than happy to cater it. This is where it should be done at the start of a service, because then you really can cater to that client's need as much as you possibly can. And they're also like, I guess, really emphasis on the fact of telling a client how much it's going to cost at the start, because people get a bit eerie at the end of like, oh shit, that cost me $300. And then at the start you could have taken that stress away. The person's going to be more like at ease at the end of it. We want to make that whole experience be seamless as well. So that's definitely something to consider as well.
I would be interested to get your opinion on this, because this is something that I found for myself personally, because I definitely had a lot of insecurities around money when I was like first running my business. And something that really helped me, like definitely having those consultations up front where you're like, do you want a quote now? Let me let you know what this is going to be. But also being a bit more upfront with pricing and having price lists available and that sort of thing, so that the client kind of knows what they're getting into, so that they know what they're sort of looking at before they come in. What is your opinion on that?
I've always started with, what is your budget? And then I can tailor make it to that. So I always felt the clients are like, yes, a person might need a full head, but really in the scheme of it, a half a head might have done just perfectly as well and might suit the client so much more. Yes, it's probably less than what you expected, but at the same time, it's actually taking away the ick. It takes away the ick of someone going, oh, but actually I was kind of hoping for 300, but you've priced me for 350. And that energy exchange in itself feels gross. It feels yucky. The person will probably likely not want to rebook. But whereas if you start right at the beginning, say, what are your goals? How much is your budget? What do we want to spend? That sort of stuff. I have been able to then convince a client to spend that little bit more, because I was able to give education around it. And this is why doing it at the start has been super important. You don't have to tell about the products. You just need to give it a little bit of extra 5 minutes of education around why this would suit better, and how by doing a full head over a half a head will save them 6 months down the track of doing it this way. So in the scheme of it, also yearly planning, I think, is huge as well. This is something that I probably only really discovered. I don't know if this is something that the industry already had, but creating a yearly plan for the client. So for example, they start in January, they have their quote unquote, I guess, full service. And then 6 months, 3 months down the track, they will need a gloss. The next one is their 6 month huge retouch. And then after that one, and by mapping that out, it shows the client, yes, there might be $1,000 throughout the year, but it's being able to break it down, and it shows the client what to expect. And it also means that you can map out your year, because 6 weekly appointments is no longer really a thing anymore, unless you're a grey girly or you're wanting to get it washed and blow dried every single week. Being able to map that out, I think, also takes the ick away, and also helps the money mindset around it as well. And when you can come from the point of offering value, like in the whole service, I think clients are more likely to spend. I had a client who went from spending $300 to $500 because she saw the value of me sharing how much she needed shampoo conditioner. And when you're not educating, well, when you're not selling, you're not educating, which I think is a huge point. And the amount of people that I've been able to essentially bring back into our area that were traveling 2-3 hours away to get their hair done, to be able to come back and use my services within my salon, it was mind-blowing how many people weren't actually getting the results that they wanted because they didn't take the time to consult, didn't ask their budget, and didn't plan ahead.
Yeah. And I think as well, like what you're talking about, like that knowledge is power, being able to educate someone, like, this is why this is going to help you. This is why having this particular shampoo is going to be better than going and getting your Pantene. Yeah. Like being able to give them that power and empower them to be like, this is why making this decision is making a good decision. It does, like you said, it ups your value.
Yeah. And adding consultation forms as well to really like emphasize the fact that if you don't use a shampoo conditioner, your hair becomes null and void. It's not something that, if you can't use the recommended products, you're essentially going to waste the money that you've just spent on it by using Pantene or using any supermarket brand, which I think is hugely important. If it's part of your software system, make sure that it's being sent out there, that people are aware that if they're not going to use the recommended products, then, and it also covers your butt. I think that that's a huge bit, and it kind of makes you look a bit more professional as well.
I completely agree. It's like, why would you go and buy, you know, a brand new beautiful Porsche and then run it through, you know, the automatic wash things? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, if you're not going to put the steps in place to look after the thing that you're making a big purchase for, then it's kind of pointless.
And I feel like a lot of the times, going back to consultations as well, like it probably needs to be one of the things that hairdressers need to really push on, especially in our industry. And yes, 5 minutes seems like a lot, but I feel like when we see a lot of the consultation videos and stuff like that, it does help. But I feel like we need to get back to really sitting down with the client eye to eye, not always staring through the mirror. I think that can be a little bit off-putting by some people, but really sitting across from each other, discuss it, get the Pinterest photos out, and be really honest and transparent, saying, I don't know what your hair's going to turn out. And that alone in that sentence has really taken away the expectation from clients as well. And writing it down, what the goal is, all that sort of stuff really does cover your butt, because yes, not many people have had to take it to insurance claims and stuff like that, but at least then that will save you from a lot of heartache and a lot of extra money that needs to be going elsewhere. But if you take that time, really focus on the client, what they need, what their needs are, that consultation could probably make you way more money from turning that $300 into $500, because you actually listened to what the client needed in that end goal. So don't skip it.
Not only that, just like, you know, covering the fact that the $300 service that you're performing, you're not going to end up having to refund or do another service on top of that because you didn't like give what you said you were going to give.
Yeah, because that 2 minute of like, yeah, what we did last time was great. Well, did you actually ask, how was your hair? Did you like it? Was there anything that you wanted to tweak? Was it super bulky on one side? Like, by really like nutting out what it is, you probably will save yourself a lot of money, but a client will trust you more because you've actually given them the results that they wanted. So the money exchange feels worthy of receiving as well.
My first boss used to say to me all the time, and I think it's such a strong thing to keep in the back of your mind, always under promise and over deliver. Yes. Like, prepare them for the worst, and then if you give them better than that, even better.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing so much of your knowledge and wisdom today. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to touch on?
We covered quite a bit when I just glanced over to the time and I'm like, holy Jules, we have chatted. I guess I wanted to talk about my release of my first program, Passions to Profit, which is all around money, around learning it. I've just recently done a masterclass. So if you're interested about just wanting a free scope of what that looks like, head on over to my page. My 100K salon owner is a free community that you're welcome to come join. But it essentially leads on to my program, which is Passions to Profit, which you'll learn how to make more money in your business, essentially being able to use my 25 rule to be able to making sure that your services are priced accordingly to your unique service, like your unique costs. And really just diving into like what your dream life is as well. I think it's hugely important that we kind of need to reverse engineer what you want to achieve. A lot of people just jump straight in and go, okay, I'm going to run a business. Let's do this. Hopefully my dreams will collide somehow. So reverse engineering is a big component of this. And if you're really interested in that, just, check on over. The masterclass is free, which kind of gives you a bit of an inside scope on it. But yeah, I kind of hope that we get some beautiful people actually making some money and really changing their mindset around how they can service our industry. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'll pop all of Ebonee's links in the show notes so that you can find her on all the socials and find all these courses that we're talking about as well. And then I guess before we wrap up, probably a good time to mention that Ebonee and I are actually collaborating on a course at the moment that we'll be bringing out later this year. So can't wait to share more of that with you guys. But I think if you really enjoyed this episode and see like what Ebonee and I can kind of bring together, obviously mine is more strategy mindset, whereas Ebonee is more money mindset. Bringing those two together is going to be such a like powerhouse course to get into. So we can't wait to share more on that with you later. As you guys can probably see, we have no problems finding things to talk about.
Clearly. Oh my gosh.
There's going to be lots and lots of information jam-packed into that course. So we're very excited to bring that out for you guys very soon.
Yeah, very excited. Very, very excited.
Thank you so much, Ebonee, for coming on today and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. I think this episode is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. The money mindset stuff is so helpful. So I appreciate you giving up some time today to come and have a chat with me.
No, very, very welcome. I'm very excited. Hopefully I made a lot of sense because some of these really do freak me out a little bit, but we're working on it. But yes, hopefully you guys got lots of information on this. And yeah, jump on over to my Instagram and you'll be able to get a lot more in that. And also my free community. Like I want to be able to support people. Got questions? Ask away because I'm a bit of a chatter, as you can hear.
Girl, I hear you. No, that's amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to talking to you very soon.
Good. Thanks, Jess.
Oh, I just love her so much. I think that she just has such good information to share. I really, really hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Like I said, I will link all of Ebonee's information in the show notes so that you guys can go follow her, check her out and see what she does. And like I said, we are putting together a really amazing mastermind. So if you do want to be a part of that, start saving because we're going to be bringing that out soon and you are not going to want to miss out on that one. Guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you did enjoy it, I would love it if you could give me a follow, if you could write me a good review, if you could leave a comment. And if you haven't already, come and find me on socials too. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, and online. And I would just love to see you on all the other platforms so that we can share the love together. If you have a story or you have a business idea or anything that you want to share on the podcast, I would absolutely love for you to reach out to me on Instagram. Instagram DM is the best place to do that. I would love to hear what you've got to offer and hopefully we can share your story on the podcast as well. That would be amazing. Well, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed today's episode and I will see you again on Thursday for a one-on-one educational podcast episode. I hope you guys are having a great week. Mwah.